I have something completely left field for you today, but please bear with me. Today, you're going to hear from couples therapist, sexologist, and sex therapist, Isiah McKimmie. And what I wanted her to come and join me on the podcast for was to really give you some practical tips to help you survive and keep your relationship spark alive when you're doing a big build into a race, say an Ironman or a long course event or something like that, where your whole time gets taken up with training. You might have a full-time job, you might have kids, and then you throw 1 to 4 hours, even up to 6 hours of training on the weekend into a day. Relationships tend to go on the back burner. And what I see is couples and families completely break down because of triathlon. One partner does the sport and the other doesn't, and it puts a huge strain on relationships because there's this incongruency with expectations around what's actually involved in this crazy sport of triathlon. You're up early, you're home late, the whole sport takes up a lot of time when you've got to swim and bike and run. You might have a full-time job, and there's just not many hours left in the day. Then weekends get taken up by maybe 6-hour rides or long runs, and there's race weekends away and training camps, etc., etc. So it's a very time-intensive sport. It's also why triathlon is a little bit incestuous. We spend a lot of time with our training buddies, and that helps us to build strong relationships quickly because you see people overcome breakthroughs and push through mental and physical limits together. So it's very easy to form really strong bonds with our training buddies. Now, I've got the nutrition side of things sorted, but I wanted to bring in an expert to help you with this area. So we're taking a much more holistic approach to triathlon together. And this episode with Isiah is all about helping your relationship with your partner thrive. Welcome to the Triathlon Nutrition Academy podcast, the show designed to serve you up evidence-based sports nutrition advice from the experts. Hi, I'm your host Taryn, accredited practicing dietitian, advanced sports dietitian, and founder of Dietitian Approved. Listen as I break down the latest evidence to give you practical, easy to digest strategies to train hard, recover faster, and perform at your best. You have so much potential, and I want to help you unlock that with the power of nutrition. Let's get into it. All right, welcome to the podcast, Isiah. I'm so excited to have you.
Thanks, Taryn. I'm excited too.
Definitely left field having a relationship counselor, couples therapist, sexologist on a triathlon nutrition podcast, but there's definitely method to the madness.
There is. When you first kind of reached out to me, or when my assistant, who's also your assistant, reached out to me to talk about it, I thought, oh, this is an interesting conversation. But as you guys explained it to me, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, a lot of triathletes, particularly for Ironman, which is the longer course racing, you're out there for anywhere between age groupers sort of 9 hours up to 16 hours. There's a lot of training that goes into getting yourself ready to do an event like that. And a lot of things get put on the back burner when you're absorbed so much by training. There's lots of hours taken up every single day by multiple modalities of swimming, cycling, running. You probably have to hold down a full-time job as well. You might have family commitments. And so relationship is something that definitely gets put on hold through an Ironman build. And I see it time and time again. Either relationships fall apart completely, or the other kind of flip side of the coin is a lot of triathletes are together. Just like actors and actresses, you know how it works, right? You know how the whole culture of triathlon works and what it's like doing the sport. And so people tend to gravitate together in a way. So what I wanted to get from you today is to help the listeners with some practical strategies for how to actually manage their relationship when they're incredibly time poor and they're doing lots of training hours and their relationship becomes, I know that you'll be there at the end of this. Well, I hope you'll be there at the end of this, but maybe we could do things a little bit differently or do things a little bit better.
I'm really excited to be sharing some tools around this because it's something that comes up for a lot of couples, even when they're not trying to build triathlon or Ironman into the mix. We're often so time poor, especially when you have kids and so much else going on. So it's something that I'm really looking forward to sharing about.
So firstly, what do you love most about being a couples therapist?
I love seeing the changes in couples. I mean, it's so incredibly rewarding to have two people come in who are fighting, have distance between them, might even have wanted to separate before they got to me, and then see them feeling more connected with each other, being able to support each other in each other's different life goals, but also feeling like they're a team headed in the same direction together. That's what makes this so worthwhile.
Same as me, like working with people with their nutrition, you see huge evolution of how they feel and how much energy they have, and even more of love for the sport when you actually understand how to unlock your potential with nutrition, layering that in with training. So we can try and do that with our relationship too, I think. There's no reason why you can't do both.
Absolutely. And I think that energy piece is a really important one. When we've got a cloud of worrying about our relationship or hearing our partner complain or knowing that there's distance, it actually takes up an enormous amount of emotional energy and something that could be in the back of our minds. But when we know our relationship is really solid and when we have that support from our partner, it can change everything in our lives and can make a difference to people's training as well.
So if somebody's preparing for a big race and they've got their partner, their wife, their husband, whoever it is that is going to be their number one support crew, what are some things that they could potentially do to help, make sure that they know that, they love them and thank you for the support, but also to keep a bit of that spark and relationship there instead of just switching it off until post-Ironman race?
There's a few key areas that I always have couples look at in their relationships. The first area is connection. And it does involve spending time together, being good friends, having respect for each other. That doesn't necessarily need to be a huge amount of time. But if couples can have rituals, ways of connecting so that they still feel important to each other, even if that's 15 minutes sitting down at the end of the day. How's your day? What's happening for you? What's on your mind? Having space to share that can make such a difference to our feelings of connection. We might have to schedule it when we don't have a whole lot of time, or if you're trying to fit something in around training. Even if that time is scheduled, the fact that you're making time for 15 minutes to talk to each other can make a really big difference to how your partner feels about where they fit in to everything.
And time that's not talking about logistics as well, perhaps. Would that be right?
100%. Really finding out what's going on for the other person. And time when it's not also you're loading the dishwasher or trying to cook dinner for the kids or watching TV because one of you's exhausted as well. Just a time where you give each other your attention. And again, it doesn't need to be a lot of time, but it does need to be regular time.
Would you suggest it's a daily thing, or would people's tanks be filled up with once a week?
Actually, it needs to be a daily thing. So even 15 minutes a day, it doesn't sound like much, but when that adds up, it can really make a big difference. And at times when training is less intense, having something bigger, like a date night, or something you do that's really fun and playful together can also make a big difference.
Okay, excellent. So maybe having a cup of herbal tea before you go to bed at 8:30 in the evening. Having breakfast together after you finish training, or scheduling in a lunch phone call or something in the middle of your day, sometimes where you can find a 15-minute space to really connect with them.
All of those things are what couples that I've worked with have done in the past. Some couples I know both decided to get up at 4 a.m, so they would have that time together.
That's love.
Commitment, right? And other couples do fit it in once everything else is finished for the day, just making it a regular ritual of connection.
Okay, great. So connection's one of those things that is really important. What else can somebody do to keep their relationship alive?
The communication here is really important as well. So making sure that you're each on the same page and trying to understand each other's concerns and dreams and needs and wants and emotions. So very often we don't have the tools to communicate really harmoniously and effectively around things that might be a point of contention in the relationship. We don't necessarily have to solve the problem to change the way a couple communicates about this and changes their connection. So if you can hear that your partner has concerns, perhaps isn't feeling important and like a priority to you and is longing for more connection. And if you can really validate that and say, I understand that this is hard for you, that's going to help them soften and be more understanding about the need and desire you have for increased training and time away from the family. So how you communicate about this makes a huge difference to the connection and harmony in a relationship.
That's a really good point, because you're not often looking for outcomes or solutions or results from your communication with your partner. You just want them to understand how you feel and empathize with you. Now, I'm a female and my experience is with males, and I know that my husband's always like, well, here's the problem, let's fix it. What's the solution? And I'm like, I don't need a solution. I just want to talk about it. I just want you to understand how bloody tired I am and how hard this is. So that's a really nice point around reflecting back, like, I know this is hard. Is there any other questions that you could give people to potentially ask to their partner, or some of those words or phrases like that to help them fast track them through that process for somebody that's new to communicating and connecting differently with their partner?
Yeah, I wish there was a fast track to better communication. It's one of those things that takes a lot of practice.
We're triathletes. We just want to do the best job we can and win.
I love it. I love it. So I hear is a really good starter. So I hear, reflect back exactly what you've heard your partner say. That makes sense to me because. So it's like saying, you make sense to me. I understand you. You can also say something to them like, can you tell me more about how this makes you feel? So there's an invitation for them to share more. You can also ask, what would you like to see happen here? You're inviting them to share. And so often when people can ask that question, they say, oh, I don't know. Like, I think I just want to know that I'm still important to you. Or I think I just want to know that you really hear and understand me. Or they might even be able to offer you another solution like, okay, well, I'd like for when this event is over for us to do something really special. So that's a question that can help get some possible actions from your partner as well.
Excellent. Thank you for fast tracking us.
But you have to have empathy, otherwise you're not going to fast track it. Because if you say any of those things without real empathy for what your partner's experience might be around this, it's just going to take longer. So probably it's actually empathy here that's going to fast track it for you.
Okay, so communicating on a daily basis, even if it's short, just really connecting properly, like eye contact, not scrolling through your phone while you're trying to have a chat or on the phone, like maybe even if it's while you're brushing your teeth at the end of the night or having a shower together or, 10 minutes at the end of the day that you can share undistracted without screaming kids and, not flicking through Training Peaks or Instagram while you're doing it.
Exactly. Giving each other attention, being present with each other.
Sounds easy, right?
Sounds easy. I know.
Are you a triathlete sick of fumbling around in the dark with your nutrition? Is nutrition the missing link in helping you reach your goals? And do you want to maximize your training efforts and level up your performance? Of course you do. Come and join me for free at Fuel School. It's a free 3-day live and online nutrition training week. And I've designed it to give you the nutritional edge in 2024 and lay the foundation of your day-to-day fueling and race nutrition. It's on the 14th to the 16th of January, 9 a.m. Brisbane time, so Australian Eastern Standard Time every day, which is 3 p.m. PST, 5 p.m. CST, and 6 p.m. EST on the 13th to the 15th of January. To register, head to fuel.school. Yep, www.fuel.school. Whether you're a seasoned triathlete or just starting your nutrition journey, this free event is your opportunity to learn from an advanced sports dietitian and triathlon nutrition specialist and transform the way you approach your nutrition for 2024. Fuel.school, it's free. I'll see you there.
Okay, so what other strategies can people start to think about? We've got those two. We can work on those with our partner. Is there anything else we can do to help keep that relationship spark alive?
So connection, communication, and sexual intimacy are the three really key areas. And that doesn't necessarily mean having sex, but it does mean being playful with each other, having physical touch in there as well, and kind of keeping that romance between you two. So doing the kind of special things, keeping in mind that your partner is your lover, not just your co-parent, housemate, or co-manager of a household.
I resonate with all of those at the minute, having a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old.
It's tough to keep that part of the relationship alive, particularly.
Okay, so any tips for a really tired Ironman athlete that just wants to fall in a heap at the end of the day and go to sleep?
Yeah, so we do have to prioritize what's important to us. And I absolutely understand that training and the events are really important, but I'm going to make the assumption that your partner is also really important to you. And so if you can get into these kind of rituals where something feels like a habit, that's going to be helpful. And letting your partner know that perhaps this week or next week or for a few weeks, you might not have as much of that time, but also letting them know that there'll be time afterwards as well. It's really possible for two people to have really different kinds of interests and priorities in life and still have a really connected relationship. But they have to be connected and talking really well together so they feel like they can support each other in the dreams and goals that each of them has outside of the relationship. And it's still important that we feel like a priority to our partner, even if they've got other things that they need to include in their day. We still have to feel like we are important to them and that we're made a priority, at least at certain times.
It's those little things that really add up though too, don't they? And I guess it would depend on what you enjoy or what you like. You know, if you're somebody that likes that physical touch and you're not getting that, then you're going to feel really different to somebody that gets that all the time but doesn't actually really enjoy that.
Exactly. So showing your partner connection in a way that they really value is so important as well. And you're right. It's the little things that really add up. Our relationships are made and broken in the small moments. So doing lots of small things often can make an enormous difference to your sense of connection and the way that you work together as a team.
Is it worth having that conversation with your partner around what actually makes them feel loved and feel connected with you?
So important to understand what it is that they're wanting, what it is they need. And again, to come back and try to understand the emotions that they have when they're not getting that.
Before it gets to the point of yelling.
Ideally, yes. Find those small moments with your partner. When they feel like you're also listening to them, they're going to feel like they can be more supportive and find ways to talk about it. I can't tell you how to love your partner. They can tell you how they most feel loved and what they really need.
It's really interesting because you see couples that are really like gift giving or somebody that purchases lots of stuff. And if that's not the way that you feel connected, then that's going to be a complete waste of time and effort and money. And it could be the tiny little things that actually make the biggest difference for you and your relationship.
Even just paying attention to your partner when they walk into the room or responding to them when they say something instead of being consumed by whatever it is that they're looking at makes a really big difference. It doesn't necessarily have to be grand gestures of things. Just having your partner know that you're interested in them and their needs and that you want to show them love in a way that works for them, that's going to start to make a difference.
That's really good advice. Do you believe in the love languages?
I do. I have a lot of couples who find them really, really useful as a way of kind of understanding the different ways that they like to feel loved and the ways they like to give love as well.
Could you run me through what the 5 love languages are then for people that don't know what they are?
Yeah, so the 5 love languages, we've got acts of service where you do things for the other person to make their life easier. We have quality time, which is being really present with someone. Gift giving. Words of affirmation, where you let the person know how much they mean for you, the things you appreciate and value. and physical touch. So that's where you let someone know through touching them how much they mean to you. It's how you show love by just even a really simple touch on the arm at times.
It'd be really interesting for people to understand what their love language is, but then also have their partner do that so that those little tiny things that they could be doing when they're really time poor and really tired to make the most difference to their relationship, because there's no point buying somebody gifts every week to, get them through to Ironman if they're not into that gift giving.
And you can do all of the things, but again, if there isn't that emotional connection and understanding there, the relationship isn't going to keep growing and stay connected over time. You'll end up more disconnected. Yes, we have to do the things, spend time, potentially give gifts or touch. The emotional component really has to be there as well.
True. Very true. I can put a link in the show notes for people to do the 5 love languages quiz. It's something I've done and found really valuable because I learned I'm the acts of service one. Like just the tiny little things make me really feel more connected with my partner. And that's like bringing me a coffee in bed on a Sunday morning. It's just like, oh, thank you.
That's right. It doesn't take much, so much of the time.
Yep, tiny, tiny, tiny. But then I also got him to do it as well, and understanding how he feels connected with me is so valuable. And it doesn't take a lot of time to do the quiz, but it also doesn't take a lot of time to do the tiny little things to keep your relationship spark more alive. It doesn't have to be a date night every week. It doesn't have to be hours of long conversations. Like you said before, it's like 15-minute just connected conversation around how are you? Like how actually are you? Not talking about the logistics of who's picking up the kids and what's for dinner and when are we going to do the shopping and all that sort of boring adulting stuff.
Exactly. Those rituals of connection, whatever time of the day, however the two of you choose to do it, keep you connected even when there's so much else going on.
Perfect. So the 3 pillars: connection, communication, and intimacy.
That's right.
Not difficult, but a little bit of thinking and making a bit more of a habit will help you survive Ironman build and still have your partner there by your side to hand you your recovery drink at the finish line if that's what you want.
Exactly. To be there cheering you on, part of your support team.
Oh, thank you so much. Can I ask you before you go, what sort of couples do you work with?
I mean, I work with couples of all different ages, professions, backgrounds. Most of the couples I work with usually feel like they've got everything else in their life figured out, but there's this one area of relationships or something to do with sex that they just can't figure out on their own. It's often that they're having recurring arguments, that they feel distance creeping in between them, that they're struggling with sex or mismatched desire, not enjoying themselves in the bedroom as much as they think they could. So I give them the tools and support to fill in that last area of their life that they feel they need to work on.
Yeah, great. Sounds like high achieving adults there.
Really high achieving. I think we so often think that in order to take steps around your relationship, there has to be something wrong. But the kind of couples I work with normally want to do well in every single area. And so they're often quite proactive around their relationships as well. And they're not afraid to reach out and get support.
Sounds like triathletes through and through. Do you work with any triathletes or you just don't know?
I've certainly worked with professional sportsmen and ex-professional sportsmen. I've worked with a lot of couples who have pretty significant hobbies as well, and couples where there are kind of differences in what they seem really interested. I'm not sure if I've had any triathletes yet, although my brother does triathlon and Ironman, so I've also kind of seen things from that perspective.
Excellent. And where do people find you if they want more great relationship tips?
So I share a lot on Instagram where I'm Isiah McKimmie.sexologist. There's a lot of free tips and information there. Also, my website, Isiah-McKimmie.com, has some free resources, some ways that couples can feel connected in less than 15 minutes a day. And there's also information about doing therapy and coaching with me, which is all done online.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for insight into how to keep a relationship alive from your perspective. It's excellent. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Taryn.
Thanks for joining me for this episode of the Triathlon Nutrition Academy podcast. I would love to hear from you. If you have any questions or want to share with me what you've learnt, email me at podcast@dietitianapproved.com. You can also spread the word by leaving me a review and taking a screenshot of you listening to the show. Don't forget to tag me on social media at dietitian.approved so I can give you a shout out too. If you want to learn more about what we do, head to dietitianapproved.com. And if you want to learn more about the Triathlon Nutrition Academy program, head to dietitianapproved.com/academy. Thanks for joining me, and I look forward to helping you smash it in the fourth leg. Nutrition!